we come in touch with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, of the Hare Krishna movement, it is synonymous with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, when he started this movement in the West in 1965, he wanted himself to be known as the founder, Acharya of this movement. So this word Acharya is a very important word. Indians especially are familiar with this word Acharya. We have heard about Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya, Nimbarkacharya, etc., Vallabhacharya, etc., isn't it? And the sense of the term Acharya we generally get when we refer to these great personalities is that they are not run-of-the-mill sadhus. In India you will find many sadhus also. You will find many people who are professing to be spiritual leaders. They have their own institutions and all that. But even today, even in the modern age, you will not find many people calling themselves acharyas. Because our word acharya has a certain special significance. So when we speak of Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, etc., we immediately slot them into a separate category than regular sadhus, regular saintly people, isn't it? I mean, you can understand that there is a gulf of difference between the acharyas and normal saintly people. In Kumbh Mela, all of you would have heard of the Kumbh Mela. I don't know, any of you visited Kumbh Mela this year? No, okay. Kumbh Mela, as all of you would have read from the media reports and all that, is the largest religious congregation of people across the world. So several, billions of people come during that period of 1.5, 2, 3 months, whatever the time period is according to the configuration of the stars and tithis and all that. This time it was short, little more than a month, not much. This time during the Kumbh Mela, we had there was a decision by the Akhil Bharatiya Akhada Parishad. Not very formal, but some kind of association of all the akhadas. Akhadas represent the, there are different akhadas who come to participate in the Kumbh Mela. Akhadas are spiritual organizations. They represent different branches of philosophy and things like that. There are about, how many akhadas are there? Anybody remembers? About 8 or 11 or something like that. Out of that, 3 are Vaishnava akhadas, and the rest are all different people. 6, and then the Shaivites and things like that. Sorry?
LGBT also.
Huh?
Some LGBT.
Yeah, that, they have a Kinnara Akhada, that one also. So all different kinds of groups. All spiritual heads come together and form these akhadas. Now Akhil Bharatiya Akhada Parishad is all these akhadas together, they have an association. It's called an Akhila Bharatiya, means All India Akhada Parishad. Parishad means, what do you say that in English? Association. All India Akhada Association, something like that. That's what it means. So they decided that they wanted to recognize Prabhupada's contribution in spreading the Sanatana Dharma across the world, and decided to give a title to Prabhupada as a recognition. And this title they chose was Vishwaguru. And this Vishwaguru, why they chose that? They have different titles for different classes of people. One is called Mahamandaleshwar. Mahamandaleshwar is like, they just give it to anybody who takes sannyas, who wants it, they give it. It's a very common title. Then they have a Jagat Guru, some really elevated people, some people who have achieved some really important things in the spiritual realm. They give the title Jagat Guru. And some very prominent sadhus in the past have received the title of Jagat Guru. Now, for Prabhupada, they said Prabhupada has done something which is incomparable. So we don't want to give him Jagat Guru title and slot him along with the others. They said we want to give him a title which nobody has received till now. And that is how they decided upon the title Vishnu. And they have a whole procedure for whenever they want to issue such titles. They have normally they give it to people who are living, not people who are already passed away. But for Prabhupada, they were willing to make an exemption because Prabhupada's contribution is like that. It's too big to be ignored. So, during this one ceremony, they have a very elaborate ceremony where Vedic mantras are chanted and they do an abhishek for the person who is receiving the title and things like that. So we had, because this kind of whole ritual has to take place, we had taken a murti of Srila Prabhupada from Vrindavan, from the Vrindavan temple, Vrindavan Sampradaya Mandir temple, and they did a Pushpa Abhisheka for Prabhupada, Abhisheka of flowers, and along with the chanting of the Vedic mantras and all that, and then finally they announced the title for Prabhupada as the Vishnu. So, during that, and after the title was conferred upon Srila Prabhupada, all the heads of the different akhadas, they spoke a little bit about Prabhupada and all that. And one of the things they said was that we are not honoring Prabhupada with this title. We are honored to be able to confer this title upon Prabhupada. So we are the people, Prabhupada by accepting this title from us, is actually honoring us. These were the words that they were speaking. And these are all prominent sadhus, saints in India today. So they were, to that extent, they recognized the contribution of Srila Prabhupada about what he has done is extraordinary. It is not something which any normal sadhu could have achieved. And one of the things that the head of the Parishad, the head of that whole association, he was saying that one thing what he liked, before the title was bestowed upon Prabhupada, we were meeting from devotees from our temple, from our group. We were all meeting all the sadhus, and naturally we had a little bit of talk before the actual event happened. So during that time, the head of the Parishad, he was telling that he heard from Madhu Pandit Prabhu that we don't give Diksha on our own to people. Anybody wants to get initiated, wants to take Diksha, comes to any of our group temples. We initiate on behalf of Prabhupada and they become disciples of Prabhupada. So he quoted this and he said, this is one thing which I like very much, that you are following your Acharya. Your Acharya Diksha is given on behalf of your Acharya. This is a very, very wonderful thing you people are doing. And he was very appreciative of that. That we are not taking disciples on our own, but in our this one group of temples, the Acharya is still the person who gives Diksha, and everybody is considered a disciple of Prabhupada. So this, even he appreciated that this is something which is very, it is a very significant thing in our group of temples. So actually, if you see what Prabhupada has done, what Prabhupada has achieved, these coming to the West and preaching on such a large scale in those years from 1965 to 77, 12 years. In that 12 years also, up to 1968, there was not much preaching activity which would happen. Initially, 1965 to 66, it was a real challenge, it was a real struggle for Prabhupada. We are all, I'm sure all of you are conversant with that. How he was in that yoga studio, and then he had to, he was living in that loft with one hippie and Paul, and he, suddenly in the middle of one of the nights, he went crazy in a drug-induced kind of violent, some exhibition of his. He was not in control here of his senses. He became violent, and then Prabhupada was out on the street. We have all heard, I'm sure all of you have heard this multiple number of times. So it was a real struggle during that period, 1965, 66. And then in May of 1967, Prabhupada had a stroke. And then Prabhupada had to go back to India to recuperate. So practically, one half of 67 was lost in complete recuperation until the end of 67, Prabhupada could not return to the US. So actually, Prabhupada himself says, it was only after 1968 that the movement really took off and started expanding in an explosive way. So actually speaking, 1968 to 77, that is only 9 years. In that 9 years, Prabhupada established 108 temples, and not only that, Prabhupada wrote more than 60 volumes of books. Over and above that, Prabhupada gave almost 5,000 to 6,000 hours of lectures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc. So nearly 5,000 to 6,000 hours of lectures. And on top of that, Prabhupada also wrote about 5,000 to 6,000 letters to his disciples, giving different kinds of instructions and things like that. And over and above that, Prabhupada gave another almost 4,000 hours of room conversations, recorded room conversations. I'm sure there are many more hours which were not recorded also. So all this Prabhupada did in the midst of building up the whole movement. And Prabhupada had to build up an organization in a very organized way, in a structured way. Prabhupada built up the movement. It was not haphazard. Something happening, somehow things are going on. No, Prabhupada had a clear vision what he wanted to do. If you all see, 1970 itself, Prabhupada established the Governing Body Commission, the GBC. Actually, if you see, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he told his disciples that after my time, you should form a Governing Body Commission and you should conduct the activities of the Gaudiya Math. That's what he had told. But after Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur disappeared, his disciples in the Gaudiya Math did not follow his instruction. They instead artificially elevated a couple of devotees to Acharya, and then there was this big schism that happened there, and then completely the whole Gaudiya Math got splintered. That's, the history of Gaudiya Math in a nutshell. So Prabhupada was very cautious that he also wanted, like his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, that after Prabhupada's time, ISKCON also should run under a Governing Body Commission. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also did not appoint anyone as next Acharya. He said, after my time, Governing Body Commission, you run it, and a self-effulgent Acharya will appear. That was his instruction. Now Prabhupada also following in his spiritual master's footsteps, Prabhupada also wanted that after his time, ISKCON should run under a Governing Body Commission. And Prabhupada, taking a leaf out of, or learning from the experience of Gaudiya Math, did not leave it to his disciples to form the Governing Body Commission after his disappearance. In the very beginning, 1970 itself, barely 4 years after Prabhupada formed ISKCON as an entity, as a legal entity. And barely 2 years after Prabhupada really started pushing the movement and spreading it on a large scale, Prabhupada formed the GBC through the direction of management. 1970 itself. And in that direction of management, Prabhupada also mentions, for publishing my books, I will register a separate entity. And that Prabhupada did in 1972, in the form of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, BBT. So you see Prabhupada's vision. So Prabhupada, as long as Prabhupada was present physically on the earth, what was the need for a governing body commission? There is no need for a GBC. When Acharya is present, when the spiritual master is personally present, what is the need for a GBC? That's why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, during his physical presence, he did not form the GBC, because it is meant for after the Acharya disappears. The disciples, when the Acharya has not appointed a successor, so the Acharya has said that you form a governing body and continue after my time. So, but Prabhupada, during his physical presence, he formed the GBC. And he had it run for from 1970 to 77, 7 years. He oversaw it personally, how it is running. So that after his time, the same thing would continue without any difficulty. So Prabhupada was very meticulous, very particular, and wanted to ensure that even after his time, the institution would run in the way it was supposed to, without any confusion, with full clarity, having trained for so many years. Simply, they had to continue what was already running. So this was Prabhupada's vision. So, Prabhupada, when he built this movement like this, he was very particular that he has to be addressed as the founder Acharya of the movement. In fact, there is one instance, I think it was in 1975 or 76. There was one instance where Prabhupada had told Rameshwar Swami. Rameshwar Swami at that time was heading the BBT. He was actually secretary of the BBT, and he was in Los Angeles temple, and he was and BBT headquarters was also in Los Angeles. And being situated in Los Angeles, he was heading BBT from Los Angeles. So Prabhupada had told Rameshwar Swami that he has to put a big board outside the BBT building saying that founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And Prabhupada had told him multiple times, reminded him that you have to put the board. But for 2 years, Prabhupada was reminding him, he was not putting. So then Prabhupada made a comment that why this conspiracy in not putting the board. You see, Rameshwar Swami, I don't know whether he deliberately did not put, or it was maybe he did not understand the significance. For whatever reason, 2 years he did not put. Prabhupada saw it as a conspiracy against him. Just because that board was not put, that founder Acharya is Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada gave that much importance to him being recognized within the movement as the founder Acharya. Not only that, every letterhead, every temple, the main board that is there, it has to have the board saying founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada was particular about this. And of course, in all the books, the front page, you will have, they all declare that he is the founder Acharya. So this Prabhupada implementing this is not a small thing. It is quite a significant thing. Because, like I mentioned, the word Acharya has a certain significance. It is not meant for ordinary saintly people. So, Prabhupada quoted Vayu Purana to define what is the meaning of the word Acharya. So the Vayu Purana defines Acharya saying, Acharye sthapayantyapi Achinoti aha shastrartham Acharye sthapayantyapi Swayam acharate cha yasmin Acharyam iti prakirtitaha. So the Vayu Purana states, it defines Acharya in three terms. Number one, Achinoti Yaha Shastrartham. The Acharya is a person. Achinoti, Achinoti means you select. You select Achinoti Yaha Shastra Artham. One who selects or distills the essence of the scriptures. So this is the first function of an Acharya. He has to distill, he has to extract the essence of the scriptures. And not only extracting the essence of the scriptures and presenting it to the disciples, Achinoti Shastraham, Achare Sapayantyapi. He not only gives the philosophy, the essence of the scriptural philosophy, he also establishes standards of behavior. Achara. Achare Sapayantyapi, meaning what is the achara that his disciples have to follow. What is the standard of behavior? How they have to conduct themselves. This is the second thing. Third thing, Swayam Acharate cha. The Acharya himself will follow those standards personally. He will set a personal example of the standard of behavior of what is expected from his disciples. Such a person is defined to be an Acharya. So, if you take these three things and a little bit if we apply in the context of our movement, the Hare Krishna movement or ISKCON. So, Prabhupada, whatever philosophy we understand is by reading Prabhupada's books. We read all of the books of Prabhupada, Rajavidya, The Path of Perfection, Perfect Question, Perfect Answers, so many books Prabhupada has written. And then we read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, in all these literature, Prabhupada is extracting the essence and giving it to us. You see, when we read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, after we finish reading the Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, the first thing that crosses our mind is what? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very clearly, anybody who reads Prabhupada's book sincerely, it will be very clear in his mind by the time he finishes Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita that Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. See how Prabhupada has taken the essence of the Bhagavad Gita and presented it. The essence of the Bhagavad Gita is what? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are his eternal servants and we are meant to render devotional service to him, loving devotional service to him. This is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? And if you read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, anybody who reads, it will be crystal clear that this is what Bhagavad Gita is. You read any other Bhagavad Gita, you will never get this understanding. So Prabhupada has taken that essence and presented it in such a simple way, anybody who reads, he can easily comprehend this. He can easily understand this. So Prabhupada has given the essence of the scriptures, and then Prabhupada has given the standard how his disciples in ISKCON have to conduct themselves. What is that standard of behavior? 4 regulative principles. Every day they have to chant 16 malas of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They have to get up for Mangalarti. Mangalarti is at a certain time. And during Mangalarti there is a certain song you have to sing. Samsardavan Lerida. And during there is something known as Shindararti or Darshanarti. There also there is one particular song to be sung, Govinda Madipurusham. And then there is Guru Puja for Prabhupada. And there also there is a particular Guru Vandana song to be sung. Then every day Bhagavatam class has to be held. And what kind of food we will eat? Krishna Prasadam without onion and garlic. And Ekadashi what we should eat, when we should fast. Everything, in fact, even what kind of, the way we dress ourselves, that is also given by Prabhupada. You see, we have to wear kantimala, we have to wear tilak, the kind of, kurta and dhoti, how to wear the dhoti also. In such great detail, Prabhupada has given all of this to us. So this is called achara, how we conduct ourselves as disciples of Prabhupada. So all of these things, the achara within ISKCON is established by whom? Established by Prabhupada. So all these three things, when you look at it, Prabhupada is actually performing the function of an Acharya. He has done all these things and Prabhupada personally also followed all these things. Attending the sadhana, chanting a fixed number of malas every day. Prabhupada himself would go and sit in the Bhagavatam class, which would be given by his own disciples. In one of the letters, Prabhupada writes, so have you become more than Guru Maharaj? I myself I attend my disciples giving classes and I relish the classes. So how you are not attending class? So Prabhupada's disciples are giving class and Prabhupada would go and attend. And Prabhupada would read his own books. So you see, Prabhupada actually, he walked the talk. He not only set the standards and told that it is for all of you, not for me. Prabhupada did not say that. Prabhupada himself followed. In fact, there is a famous incident. 1971, there was a Kumbh Mela where Prabhupada went and attended. And Kumbh Mela is normally January, February time. It's extremely bitterly cold at that time. It is, temperatures are anywhere between 0 to 2 degrees centigrade. That's the kind of temperatures that prevail. Early mornings and daytime maximum temperature will not go beyond 5 degrees centigrade. And it's not like, the US, you have central heating and you have air conditioning and all that kind of stuff to keep things to keep yourself warm. India, you know how it is. You're out in the cold, you're out in the cold. That's it. There is no question of central heating and all that. And that too, Kumbh Mela, where it's all temporary arrangements. You have camps and you have tents and you have to live in them and things like that. So there, when the Kumbh Mela, and probably for all the disciples of Prabhupada at that time, it was a first-hand experience. And that too in India, Kumbh Mela, such a vast assembly of people and all that. And Prabhupada, after a few days, Prabhupada was also there in the Kumbh Mela, in their camp. After a few days, Prabhupada saw that his disciples are not attending the morning program, the Mangalarati. So Prabhupada inquired, what happened? Why the devotees are not coming? So somebody told Prabhupada, it is too cold and there is no hot water to take bath. So early morning in that cold, it is really tough. Suppose the temperature is freezing 2 degrees, 3 degrees centigrade, and you have to take that cold water and pour it upon yourself. That experience is something else also. You need nerves of steel to do it. It's not ordinary. So, it's tough. So they were not able to take bath, so they were not coming. So Prabhupada did not say anything. Next day morning, early morning, Prabhupada got up and walked out of his tent, and there was a borewell hand pump. Hand pump. They pump this one with the hand and the water comes out of that from the groundwater. He went and sat under it and asked one of his disciples to pump the water. So the devotees are all shocked. They are seeing their spiritual master is going, and Prabhupada was already 75 years old, and he's sitting under the hand pump and he's taking a bath there. And these are all 25, 30-year-olds, and we are all sitting inside and we are refusing to take bath. No other choice, no option. Everybody went to bath, and from that day onwards, all full 100% attendance in Mangalarati. So you see, Prabhupada, by his personal example, inspired his disciples to follow all the principles. No compromises. And Prabhupada never compromised. Even in the very beginning, people like Allen Ginsberg told Prabhupada, don't insist on the 4 regulative principles. If you insist on the 4 regulative principles, they will all go away. And Prabhupada said, I cannot compromise. If they want to go, let them go. Prabhupada was firm. So Prabhupada personally followed, and Prabhupada, by his personal conduct, Prabhupada set the standards for all his disciples to follow. So this is the function of an Acharya, and Prabhupada performed that, and therefore he insisted that he be recognized as such. Actually, this is not something which a pure devotee like Prabhupada will relish doing, to designate himself and to tell his disciples to call him this. But then Prabhupada was in such a situation where he had to teach them what his position was. They were not in a position to be able to recognize Prabhupada's position and to be able to declare that yes, he is the Acharya. So Prabhupada had to do it as a matter of duty. Because for his disciples, if they don't understand the position of Prabhupada that he is the Acharya, then they will not, it will be one kind of offense on their part to be not to be able to recognize their spiritual master to be the Acharya. So Prabhupada had to do these kind of things to explain his own position to his own disciples. So it is not something which I'm sure Prabhupada would have relished doing, but he was doing it as a sense of duty. So when we speak of an Acharya establishing the standards and giving the essence of the scriptures and personally setting the standards. So this activity of an Acharya constitutes what? Actually it constitutes initiation or Diksha. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, there is a verse, many of you would have heard it, it's a famous verse. Ei rupe brahmanda pramite kono bhagyavan jeev, Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata bija. All of you are well versed, you see. You're all well read. So the verse states, Ei rupe brahmanda pramite. All the living entities, the conditioned souls, all of us, we have been wandering in this universe right from the Brahma's planet down to Patala Loka. Sometimes you are born as Brahma, sometimes as an insect, sometimes as a human being, sometimes as a devata, sometimes as a tree, sometimes as an animal. Like this we have been wandering through 8,400,000 species all over the universe. So, and we are caught up in this wandering all over the universe. Nobody can get out of this cycle of birth and death within this material universe. So, some very, very extremely fortunate soul gets the kripa, the grace of Guru and Krishna. Guru Krishna, kripa pai. And that, how do you know that living entity, the conditioned soul, has received the grace of the spiritual master and Krishna? Pai bhakti lata bija. When he receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. Bhakti lata bija. Now, Prabhupada explains what is this bhakti lata bija. What is this seed of devotional service? Prabhupada says that for any idea, plan, program or device, there is originally a contemplation of it. Anything, suppose for example, we want to celebrate the anniversary of the installation of Shri Radha Damodar. So what happens? There is a lot of planning that has to be done to conduct the event over 2 days, 3 days, whatever number of days you have. I am sure you would have been started planning since last 1 or 2 months. How many, since when are you planning, Sadhanam Prabhu?
I'm planning for last 6 months, bro.
6 months, see? 6 months ago he started the planning that yes, now the anniversary celebration has to happen. So you see, to conduct as an event, initially you have to contemplate it. So 6 months ago, the seed for celebrating the anniversary was sown in the form of the contemplation. Yes, we have to do this. And then from there, everything starts. First is just the thought, I want to celebrate the anniversary of the installation of Radha Damodar. That much only. Then that thought, that contemplation spreads, expands into such a big event, 3 days, 4 days, whatever the number of days, and so much arrangement, so many expenses, and there is a Havan Kunda, there is so many other things, there is that big gazebo tent put up, and His Grace Madhu Prabhu also has brought his truck, and there is going to be another big arrangement there. So you see, so many things are happening, so many people are coming together. I'm sure you would have taken a lot of permissions also. So many things are happening. They have all expanded out of that one small thought that I want to celebrate the anniversary of Radha Damodar installation. Isn't it? One small thought, it has expanded into such a big thing. Just like you take a seed, sow it in the ground, it expands and becomes a big, huge tree. So that huge tree has grown out of one small seed. Similarly, that whenever we think or contemplate upon any plan or device or program, it begins with an initial thought, and that is called the seed. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, when we speak of Bhakti Lata Bija, all the rules and regulations by which a devotee is trained up perfectly in devotional service to Krishna is called Bhakti Lata Bija. The methods, rules and regulations by which a person is trained up perfectly in devotional service is called Bhakti Lata Bija. This is how Prabhupada defines Bhakti Lata Bija. So, and then Prabhupada goes on to say that the Bhakti Lata Bija is received when one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. So, the Bhakti Lata Bija, the methods, rules and regulations by which we are trained to become perfect devotees. What are those methods, rules and regulations? Chanting 16 malas, following 4 regulative principles, coming for Mangalarti, attending sadhana, hearing Bhagavatam every day, reading Prabhupada's books 1 hour, fasting on Ekadashi, celebrating festivals like Janmashtami, etc., etc. You know, all the rules and regulations associated with deity worship. So many methods, rules and regulations Prabhupada has given us. And all of these actually constitute the Bhakti Lata Bija. Why? Because if you follow these things, it will grow, and that, following of these rules and regulations will grow into what? It will grow and give us the fruit of Krishna Prema. It will take us back to Godhead. Such a big result we are going to get simply by chanting 16 malas, attending the Mangalarti, doing our sadhana, following 4 regulative principles, etc. So you see, such a great result, which even great big yogis, jnanis, all these people are not able to get, we are able to get. How? Simply by following the rules and regulations given by Prabhupada. So this is the Bhakti Lata Bija. And Prabhupada says this Bhakti Lata Bija is received at the time of initiation from a bona fide spiritual master. And if we are not following the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master properly, then we will not get the Bhakti Lata Bija. We will get Karma Bija, we will get Jnana Bija, we will get Yoga Bija. Bhakti Lata Bija will not be given. Bhakti Lata Bija is given only when we surrender to the spiritual master and serve him without reservation, having an implicit faith in his words and in his instructions. Then only the Bhakti Lata Bija will be sown in our heart by our Guru, by our Diksha Guru, by our initiating spiritual master. And so, in ISKCON, whoever comes, what is the Bhakti Lata Bija they get? 16 malas, 4 relative principles, reading Prabhupada's books, etc. Right? Who is giving that Bhakti Lata Bija? All this is given by Prabhupada. Can anybody in ISKCON tell that, no, let us change the standard from 16 malas to 8 malas? Instead of 4 regulative principles, let us have 2 regulative principles. Nobody can say. That means everybody in ISKCON who comes gets their Bhakti Lata Bija from whom? They get it from Prabhupada. And not only that, so Acharya Sthapayantyaphi. So the Achara, the Bhakti Lata Bija, is given by Prabhupada because, and therefore he is the Acharya. Not only that, Achinoti Shastratham. If you want to put it in another way, from the Prabhupada quotes Jiva Goswami, and he says that Diksha, the process of initiation, constitutes what? Divyam Jnanam Yatodadya Kurya Papasya Samshayam. Diksheti Sa Prokta. So Diksha is defined as the revelation of transcendental knowledge within the heart and destroying all of one's past sinful reactions. This is what Diksha is defined as. So the Divya Jnana, Achinoti Asastratam, the extracting the essence of the scriptures and revealing that essence within the heart is done by whom? It is done by Prabhupada. So Prabhupada is giving you the Bhakti Lata Bija. Prabhupada is giving you the essence of the scriptures, revealing the transcendental knowledge within the heart. Not only that, Prabhupada is also Papasya Sankshayan, means destroying all our sinful reactions. How is Prabhupada doing it? When we start following all the regulative principles, we start following the 4 regulative principles. We don't engage in meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex. We avoid these things. What are we doing? We are avoiding sinful activities. So that is one aspect of Kuryat Papasya Sankshayan. When we say destroying sinful reactions, there are 2 aspects to it. One is our accumulated sinful reactions from so many lifetimes, that has to be taken away. That has to be destroyed. That has to be wiped away. Second aspect is, after wiping away after removing all the past sinful activities, we have to remain sin-free. We have to remain on that platform of being free of sinful activities. Both these things are there. So, when we follow the achara, which is established in the movement by Prabhupada, what happens? We keep away from sinful activities. This is one of the aspects of Papasya Sankshayan. So, actually speaking, when we are on the conditioned platform, when we are in ignorance, what happens? Ignorance leads us to engage in sinful activities. Because of ignorance, we have a propensity to perform sinful activities. Shastra also says, Prabhupada has quoted many times, that what is that famous, this one, Prabhupada says, that naturally the living entities are inclined to perform sinful activities. You remember that? What is that? Prabhupada says, as a I forget the verse. Anyway. So naturally, the living entity left to himself, he will engage in sinful activities. Why? Because of his ignorance. Because he is not aware that he is a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. So therefore, naturally he is inclined to perform sinful activities. But if one refrains from engaging in sinful activities, the door to his spiritual path is open, spiritual life opens up. So, our refraining from our giving up that propensity to perform sinful activities is the result of Diksha. Kuryat Papasya Sanshayam. That removing the propensity to perform sinful activities and also removing the past accumulated reactions to our sinful activities. Both the components together constitute Papasya Sanshayam. So, when we come to Krishna consciousness, when we come to the moment, we are told you have to follow the 4 regulative principles. Who has told this, that there are 4 regulative principles to be followed? It is Prabhupada. And so then we start following the 4 regulative principles on the order of Prabhupada. So when we follow the 4 regulative principles, what happens? We are refraining from the propensity to engage in sinful activities. And then further Prabhupada says, when we take Diksha, when we formally take Diksha from Prabhupada, at that time, the accumulated sinful reactions are also taken away by Prabhupada. So both aspects of Diksha, both aspects of Kuryat Papasya Sanshayam, removing the sinful reactions, is done by Prabhupada. So, giving transcendental knowledge is given by Prabhupada. Removing the sinful reactions is done by Prabhupada. The sowing the seed of devotional life, the Bhakti Lata Bija, Aropana, is done by Prabhupada. The essence of the scriptures has been distilled, extracted, and it is presented to us by Prabhupada. All of these things are done by Prabhupada. And so therefore, Prabhupada is the Acharya for the movement, and Acharya means he is also the Diksha Guru. He is the initiating spiritual master. So this is the true position of Prabhupada as declared by Prabhupada himself. So we have to whenever we say Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, we have to understand the import of it. It is a very deep, significant, and very profound description of Prabhupada's position within the movement. Nobody else can take his position. So as long as ISKCON is there, and as long as within ISKCON we are following the principles given by Prabhupada, 16 malas, 4 regulative principles, and we are reading Prabhupada's books, that means Prabhupada is the Acharya and Diksha Guru for ISKCON. That is how we have to understand. So if you take the example of other Acharyas, if you go to Sri Sampradaya, they will follow their understanding of the philosophy of Shastras comes from Ramanujacharya. So the way they wear tilak, the way they wear dhoti, the kind of mantras that they chant, all of it is established by Ramanujacharya. Therefore, Ramanujacharya is the Acharya for the Sri Sampradaya. Similarly, Madhvacharya also. Nobody else will claim that no, this standard, let us keep it aside. From now on, I am introducing a new standard. No. Whatever standards Ramanujacharya is given in his Sampradaya, that only everybody has to follow. There may be many GRs and Chinna GRs and so many people coming after that. So many Mathadipatis, so many heads of the institutions may come. But Acharya is Ramanujacharya because they will chant the mantra which he has told to chant. They will follow the rules and regulations which he has given, how the deity worship has to be conducted, what are the mantras to be chanted, what are the regulative principles to be followed, which are the books to be read, all those things, they will follow what Ramanujacharya said. Therefore, he is the Acharya for their Sampradaya. So in our group, ISKCON group, if you see, which mantra to chant, who has told? Prabhupada has told. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are so many millions of mantras in the Vedas. But which mantra is the one which is chosen for us? That is the Hare Krishna mantra. And it is chosen by Prabhupada. Which are the scriptures to read? Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. These are the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita, these are the primary scriptures which we have to read. So the scriptures which we have to read is also given by Prabhupada. Therefore, he is the Acharya. So, you see, in all these ways, when you look at it, so the Bhakti Lata Bija is given by Prabhupada. So, therefore, Prabhupada is the Acharya for our institution. And when we say Acharya, no matter how many generations may come, how many thousands of years may pass. Ramanujacharya appeared almost 800 years ago. And from that time what he told till today, they follow. Similarly, we also, even though hundreds and thousands of years may pass, but within ISKCON, the way we wear tilak, the way we wear dhoti, the way we wear kantimala, the scriptures which we read, and the mantra which we chant, how many times we chant, how we do deity worship, all this has to be followed the way Prabhupada established. Nobody can come and change it. So therefore, Prabhupada is the Acharya. And Acharya is the person who is giving transcendental knowledge, removing all the sinful activities and sinful propensities, and taking us back to Godhead. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is the only person who is the bona fide spiritual master within our movement. And Prabhupada is so compassionate that despite our being most unqualified to become devotees to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, because chanting the holy name of Krishna is not for everyone. Only the most qualified people can actually chant the holy name. Holy name is supposed to be chanted only by the pure devotees. That's the real fact. But a pure devotee of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, is so merciful. He is willing to authorize us to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra so that we can also become purified and become pure devotees and go back to God. This is his infinite compassion. So, Krishna, bhuktim dadati, muktim cha dadati, bhaktim tu na dadyat. Krishna will give bhukti. You go and pray to Krishna that I want some material benefit, I want some material sense gratification, Krishna will give. You go and ask Krishna, I want mukti, I want to merge into Brahman, Krishna will give that also. You go and ask Krishna, I want bhakti, Krishna will never give. Why? Because if Krishna gives bhakti to someone, Krishna will become subordinate to that person. So he will never give bhakti. He will never give bhakti. So if you want bhakti, you have to go and surrender to a pure devotee. Only a pure devotee can give us bhakti. So Prabhupada is so merciful We are all unqualified to be chanting Krishna's holy name or to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Prabhupada is giving us an opportunity, making us instruments in his hands, and through his infinite compassion, giving us the holy name, empowering us to chant the holy name, and to render devotional service to Krishna, who is standing in the form of his deity here, as Radha Damodar. So this is Prabhupada's unlimited compassion, that he is giving us an opportunity to do so. And Prabhupada has come from the spiritual world, taken the trouble to spread the movement everywhere, and give us an opportunity to understand the essence of the scriptures, become freed from our sinful reactions, and to be able to practice devotional service. And like this, Prabhupada has sown the seed of devotional service in our hearts. So this is, these are some of the points which I thought I would share with all of you. If anybody has any points for discussion, any questions or points for discussion, most welcome. Yes, please.
You had said earlier that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his lifetime, he had never officially appointed a successor.
Yes.
That's right, you should go to GBC after my departure.
Yes.
But Prabhupada has said that you can become a guru only upon the order.
Yes.
He has been instructed personally by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also
Yes.
to preach to the Western world.
Yes.
So, can you clarify what is the difference between appointing a successor
Hmm.
and ordering a person to preach?
You see, ordering a person to preach has been done by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Amara Ajnaya Guru Hayam, Kare Ye Desha, Yare Dekho, Kare Kaho, Krishna Upadesh. Right? And in that purport also Prabhupada explains how that instruction was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Kurma Brahmana. So Prabhupada explains that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to him was to stay in his place, and whomever he meets, he has to tell them about Krishna. So, preaching means you can act as a Shiksha Guru. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not tell Kurma Brahmana, Yare Dekho, Tare Kaho, Diksha. He did not tell that anybody, whomever you see, go around giving Diksha. He told him, Yare Dekho, Tare Kaho, you instruct. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Kurma Brahmana to become a Shiksha Guru. So when a Guru's order is there to preach, that means that order is to become Shiksha Gurus. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Amarajnaya order is also to become Shiksha Gurus. That is why 2 verses later, all those 3 verses are connected to the same instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So 2 verses later, in that purport, Prabhupada writes that one should not take any disciples. And then Prabhupada says, one should act as spiritual master. So, how do you act as a spiritual master without taking disciples? That is by becoming a Shiksha Guru. So, to become a Shiksha Guru, when a spiritual master orders to preach, it is actually to become a Shiksha Guru. Now, to become an Acharya is a totally different thing. Like I told, to become an Acharya means, it is not simply Yare Dekho, Tare Kaho, Krishna Upadesh. It's not simply repeating what, please chant Hare Krishna, please read Bhagavad Gita. That's not, that's, Acharya's role is far beyond that. So Acharya is not simply telling Yare Dekho, Tare Kaho, Krishna Upadesh. He's going beyond that. He's extracting the essence of the scriptures, he's removing the sinful propensities, he is establishing the standards of conduct of the disciples. So many things he is doing. So to act like that as an Acharya, to reveal transcendental knowledge within the heart, to open the blinded eyes of ignorance, that is done by an Acharya. An ordinary person who is on the level of Shiksha Guru may not be able to do that. If a Shiksha Guru is qualified on that level to be an Acharya, then he may be able to do. But otherwise, an ordinary devotee, an ordinary disciple who is acting as a Shiksha Guru, he may not be able to open the darkened eyes of ignorance of a conditioned soul. He can Vartma Pradashaka, he can show the path. He can tell that ignorant soul that read Prabhupada's books. And he reads Prabhupada's books, then the truth, the reality strikes him. Oh, I am a spirit soul. I am not the body. I am part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That revelation comes from Prabhupada. Because he is the Acharya. That revelation comes from Acharya. Ordinary Vartma Pratashita Gurus cannot reveal that within the heart. Like for instance, you take Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj's mother, Suniti, acted as his Vartma Pratashita Guru. She only, Dhruva Maharaj wanted a kingdom bigger than his father's. So Suniti said, if you want that, you have to worship Narayana. Actually, his stepmother Suruchi told, if you want to sit on your father's lap, then you have to take take birth again in my womb, and you have to pray to Narayana for that fortune. So when Dhruva Maharaj went to his mother Suniti and said, my mother Suruchi said like this, she said, yes, if you have such desire, you worship Narayana. So she told only that much. And then Dhruva Maharaj asked, where can I find Narayana? Suniti said, I have heard that big rishis and sages are searching for him in the forest. Immediately, Dhruva Maharaj left for the forest. Now, when he went to the forest, he met Narada Muni. Narada Muni gave him the mantra. He gave him the mantra, the holy name of Krishna to chant. And so he chanted that, and he had darshan of Vishnu, and by the time he had darshan of Vishnu, he realized that it is a material desire to possess a kingdom, and worshipping Vishnu or Krishna for that is a very abominable thing. He felt very bad that he had worshipped Vishnu for satisfying a material desire. So you see, in his heart there is a transformation that has happened. He took a direction from his Vartma Pratashita Guru, his mother, to satisfy his material desire. But his material desire, when he met his Diksha Guru, Narada Muni, what happened? He got the holy name of Krishna, and that material desire itself got completely wiped out from his heart. So much so that when Vishnu appeared before him and asked him, what do you want, my dear Dhruva? You have worshipped me, you have pleased me. Please ask what benediction you want from me. What was Dhruva Maharaj's response? Sthana vilashi tapasis stitoham tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam kacham vichinvanapi. So I was searching for some broken pieces of glass. Kacham vichinvan divyam ratnam. But I got a divine, transcendental, priceless jewel. So oh my Lord, I don't want anything. So you see, all the transcendental knowledge was revealed within his heart that it is not right to pray to Vishnu, to render devotional service to him for a material cause. So who did that? That was done by Narada Muni. That is his Diksha Guru. So there is a difference between a Siksha Guru and a Diksha Guru. Siksha Guru can show the path, he can indicate the path. But revelation of transcendental knowledge in the heart, removing that blind, the darkness of ignorance. What is the darkness of ignorance in our heart? We all want material sense gratification. That giving up that desire for material sense gratification happens when our blinded eyes get opened up. When our heart is lit with the lamp of knowledge. Who did that in Dhruva Maharaj's case? It was not his mother. It was Narada Muni, his Diksha Guru. So, the Acharya, the Diksha Guru, to perform that function of revealing transcendental knowledge within the heart and absorbing all the sinful reactions, the accumulated sinful reactions of the disciple, and being able to instruct him in such a way that he is able to give up his propensity to engage in sinful activities, that kind of Guru, to perform the role of that kind of Guru, requires specific order from Krishna and from the predecessor spiritual master. Without that, nobody can act in that capacity. One has to be authorized, one has to be empowered, only then he can perform that function, otherwise he will not be able to do it. This is the reality. And as far as Prabhupada getting that order from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is concerned, Prabhupada says in multiple places, that he was appointed and ordered by his spiritual master to become a spiritual master. So in one conversation, in one Bhagavad Gita lecture, at the end of the lecture, one Indian gentleman asked Prabhupada that when did your spiritual master order you? So Prabhupada becomes a little indignant. Prabhupada says, what is this business? When did he order me? That is not your business. You have to understand this much, that one becomes Guru only when one is ordered by his predecessor Guru, otherwise nobody can become Guru. In another conversation, one interviewer asked Prabhupada, what is the procedure? How do you become the leader of the movement? Is it that you get you internally you hear from Krishna or you assume yourself? Then Prabhupada replies, no, I was appointed by my spiritual master. Prabhupada says this. So it is a fact that Prabhupada was specifically ordered by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to become Diksha Guru, to become Acharya. But now why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not do it in a public forum, did not do it in a way by calling him and calling everybody else and declaring, see, he is the next Acharya? We don't know. That only Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur knows. He has his reasons. But fact is, he said that Acharya is going to come. But I am not naming anyone right now. All of you from the GBC, self-effulgent Acharya will emerge. Whomever I am appointing, he will emerge by the results of his actions. The way he will preach in such a powerful way, you will realize he is the next Acharya. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he did not externally reveal whom he had ordered to become the next Acharya. So why he did not do that? We don't know. We can only speculate. If you want, I can also speculate. My speculation is very simple in this matter. Although, it may not be, it's not of any value, but still, I'll share with you because you asked that question. See, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur knew that his disciples were gunning to become the next Acharya. He told the Prabhupada in Radhakund that soon there is going to be fire in Gaudiya Math. Right? He told. And he knew that his disciples are after property, after position. All this Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur knew. And at that time, Prabhupada was a simple Grihastha. And all his other disciples are big sannyasis and Naitika Brahmacharis, and they have been in the movement for so many years. And suddenly Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur calls all of them and tells, Prabhupada is the next Acharya. Will they accept it? Will they be able to digest it? Most likely he would have assessed that they will not be able to do it. If I do this, the only thing they will do is they will disobey me and they will fracture the movement and assume the position themselves and they will go to hell for disobeying. So to save them from the going to hell out of disobedience, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, you make a GBC and continue the activities, self-effulgent Acharya will emerge. Automatically Prabhupada by his preaching will emerge. And actually Prabhupada emerged as the self-effulgent Acharya. The quantum of preaching that he did, the number of conditioned souls, the number of Jagais and Madais he delivered, it is incredible. Prabhupada himself says in one conversation, Nityananda Prabhu delivered one Jagai and one Madai. By Nityananda Prabhu's kripa, we are delivering thousands of Jagais and Madais. Prabhupada is referring to himself, that he is delivering thousands of... Nityananda Prabhu delivered only one Jagai Madai, Prabhupada is delivering thousands of Jagais and Madais. So that's the power of Prabhupada's preaching. Because after all, Prabhupada is not an ordinary devotee. He is the Senapati Bhakta. He is the commander-in-chief of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prophecy that he is going to come and preach and save the Mlechas and Yavanas. Right? We all know that. So when a commander-in-chief of an army comes onto the battlefield, you don't expect him to kill one or two soldiers and go back, right? He has to create a tahalka, he has to create a revolution in the whole battlefield. Everybody should start running helter and skelter if commander-in-chief enters the battlefield, right? So he has to do something which is extraordinary. And that's what Prabhupada did. He did something really extraordinary. If you look at the history of acharyas in India, Shankaracharya went up to he went up to Kashmir. Ramanujacharya went up to Kathmandu, Nepal. So all the acharyas, that's the maximum limit to which they have gone. Prabhupada crossed the borders. He went to the Western world. And all the acharyas, whether it is Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, all these people, Nimbarkacharya, all of them you take, they preached and made devotees only from people who were in the Varnashrama system. People, followers of Sanatana Dharma. They converted only them. Prabhupada is the only acharya who made devotees out of people who had no link to the Sanatana Dharma. Mlechas and Yavanas converting them. I mean, we are also that category. Although we may be from India, born in Hindu families, we are also no less than any Mlechas and Yavanas today. Nobody, I mean, who is there who is following Sanatana Dharma today? So even if an acharya comes today and wants to preach to the people following Sanatana Dharma, who is there following Sanatana Dharma? The whole world, there is nobody. For namesake, there may be Hindus. But nobody is following Sanatana Dharma. All are fallen, all are worse than Mlechas and Yavanas. So Prabhupada is delivering people who are worse than Mlechas and Yavanas. People who have no understanding or no proper following of Sanatana Dharma. All these kind of jivas Prabhupada is delivering, which no other acharya has done. Other acharyas have only delivered people who are following Sanatana Dharma. So that way also, if you see, Prabhupada has done something unprecedented. Incredible achievement Prabhupada has done. So automatically when we see the Prabhupada's achievements, I mean, he is self-effulgent. That is how all those personalities who are from the Akhada Parishad, they are all coming from different backgrounds. Some are Shaivite background, some are from impersonal background. All of them said one thing: seeing Prabhupada's achievement, we are not honoring Prabhupada. Prabhupada is honoring us by agreeing to receive this title from us. This is what even impersonalists and Shaivites are telling. All of you know Shaivites and Vaishnavas, they will never see eye to eye, right? They will never respect each other. But Prabhupada is commanding the respect of even Mayavadis and Shaivites, not only just Vaishnavas. Not only that, all of Prabhupada's godbrothers also, after seeing Prabhupada's success and his achievements, they all had to, although maybe grudgingly, they had to agree that yes, he has done something which nobody else has done. So imagine a situation in Gaudiya Math, if they had formed the GBC and they were going on, and they had not declared anybody as Acharya, and Prabhupada does this, 10,000 people during those 11, 12 years, he delivers, he makes all of them, he initiates all of them into Krishna consciousness. They would have been forced to accept, yes, he is the self-effulgent Acharya. He has done which none of us could do. Correct, no? So, this was a formula by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to gain the acceptance of his disciples and avoid them from disobeying his instruction of appointing Prabhupada as the next Acharya. This is my 2 paisa worth speculation, you can call it, for whatever it is worth. You may agree with it, disagree with it, it's up to you. But fact is, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had his reason for not divulging openly that he had appointed Prabhupada as the next Acharya. That he had his reasons, whatever you want to think of it or make out of it. So, we cannot question Prabhupada's appointment by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Even if you assume that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not publicly appoint, sometimes people bring up this argument. Where did Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur order Prabhupada to become the next Acharya? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur expressed his order by saying self-effulgent Acharya will emerge. And Prabhupada emerged as a self-effulgent Acharya. No? So it is his order. His order is fulfilled by Prabhupada. So therefore Prabhupada is rightfully, he has the claim to be the Acharya and Diksha Guru. So we cannot say that Prabhupada did not get an order from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And over and above that, we don't even need all these things. Prabhupada himself told he is appointed by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There is no question of questioning that. When Prabhupada has said, that's the end of it. He has ordered means he has ordered. How he ordered, when he ordered, that's not necessary for us to know. We have to have that much faith in Prabhupada. If you don't have that much faith in Prabhupada, we should not be in ISKCON. Right? If you have to be in ISKCON, you have to have faith in Prabhupada. Otherwise, why you are in ISKCON? No, don't be here. You can go out and then question, no problem. But if you are within ISKCON, you have no right to question Prabhupada's words. Is that okay? Anybody else? Yes.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Last 70-75 minutes, very profoundly life-changing lecture, Prabhu.
Right.
It was like a spiritual thunderbolt that shakes us and tells us how important it is to follow the path of Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
For continuation that question, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
If someone is new to ISKCON, so how we make them convinced?
Convince about?
Srila Prabhupada is a founder Acharya.
Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya or
No, Vishwaguru.
he is the Vishwaguru?
Vishwaguru.
Yeah, Diksha Guru. Convincing someone that he is founder Acharya is not a big deal because any book you take and open and show is written here. So, any and every book you take the title page and show founder Acharya. Huh?
It's a self-stand certification.
Well, as I explained at the beginning, if you look at what all Prabhupada did, he fulfills all the definition of an Acharya which is given in the Vayu Purana, right? So, he is fulfilling the definition or requirements given in the Shastras. So, you cannot say that you don't accept Shastra. You have to accept Shastra, number one. Number two is, like I said, it was not a self-declaration by Prabhupada, or he did not take that title upon himself. The fact is that Prabhupada was in a position where his disciples were not qualified enough to recognize his position, so he had to reveal his position to them. Like Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna tells, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate. I am the source of everything, everything is emanating from me. So you can say, what is this? Krishna is self-declaring. Right? So, Krishna is self-declaring because we are not qualified to understand. So Krishna has to tell, Are Baba, this is what I am. You are not understanding. This is what I am. This is my position. Similarly, Prabhupada is telling that this is my position, please understand. So, because if everything had gone as per proper plan, Gaudiya Math had followed GBC, and Prabhupada had emerged as the self-effulgent Acharya, then no problem. Automatically the GBC would have declared, yes, he is the Acharya, we can see that he is self-effulgent, so we are all deciding that he is the Acharya. That was what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted. Now that did not happen, no. And the Gaudiya Math, they did not form the GBC in the first place, and none of Prabhupada's God brothers were ready to recognize Prabhupada's position. So Prabhupada had to, it was a forced situation. Prabhupada was helpless in that sense. Prabhupada had to declare that, see, this is my position, please, you have to, or, very compassionately, Prabhupada revealed his own position to us. That's the way we see it. It's not like an ordinary person taking on some title by himself. It's not like that. Is that okay? So, the point is that to accept Prabhupada as the Diksha Guru, as the Acharya, etc., a new body or a new person may not have developed that much faith. So, to develop that faith, first when we introduce a person to ISKCON, we don't start talking about the glories of Prabhupada. What we do, we give him books of Prabhupada. We tell him, read Prabhupada's books. And when a person reads Prabhupada's books, how did we all develop faith in Prabhupada? We all developed faith in Prabhupada by reading, by reading Prabhupada's books. As we read Prabhupada's books, one truth after another hitting our heart. I mean, at least this is the experience I got when I would read, first time when I was reading Prabhupada's books, one after another reality is hitting me like as if a truck has come and smashed into me. You are not the body, you are spirit, soul. Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. You are undergoing threefold miseries, birth, death, disease, old age. These are the real miseries to be solved. One after another. I mean, these are realities staring at me in my face. Never saw them. And Prabhupada is one after another revealing everything. So that convinced me that yes, Prabhupada is the real, personality, is the real Acharya. So to convince a person about Prabhupada's Acharya, you don't have to talk. Give him Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada will convince him. Understand? Okay? Anybody else? Yes, please. Hare Krishna. Sorry?
Why does Krishna not give bhakti?
Why Krishna does not give bhakti? As I explained, Krishna does not give bhakti because to whoever becomes a devotee of Krishna, whoever becomes a pure devotee of Krishna, Krishna becomes subordinate to that person. Just like Yasodamai. Kunti Maharani in her prayers, in her prayers to Krishna, when Krishna is, after the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna decides to leave Hastinapura and go back to Dwaraka. At that time, Kunti Maharani comes forward and offers her prayers to Krishna. So one of the things she glorifies about Krishna, Tvai Kritagasi Gopyadade Tvai Kritagasi Damatavad Yate Jasasru Kalilanjana Sambramaksham Vatram Niniya Bhayabhavanaya Sritasya Samam Vimoheti Bhirapiyat Viveti. So she says, Krishna, you are such a person, Bhirapiyat Viveti. Fear personified fears you. So you are such a great personality that fear personified, when it comes in front of you, he will start trembling. And what are you doing? You did some naughty activity in Braj, and because of that, Yasodamai took a stick and she berated you, saying that I am going to beat you. And seeing that, you started trembling in fear, and tears started flowing from your eyes, all washing down all the mascara. And when I see how you are afraid, of whom? Of a simple cowherd woman. Yasodamai, you are looking at her and you are getting afraid of her. And who are you? You are the one whom fear personified fears. So when I see this, I get bewildered. What is this? How Krishna, how you are acting like this? So you see, that supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the source of all incarnations, who is the source of Mahavishnu, from whose pores all the universes are emanating, that supreme personality of Godhead, who is feared by fear personified, who is feared by death personified, and fearful of whom the sun every day without fail rises in the east, fearing whom the ocean is never going beyond its limits, that supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, is afraid of Yasodamai. Why? It's not that Yasodamai is more powerful than him. Yasodamai is a simple cowherd woman. What does she know? Morning to night, she is milking the cow, churning the curd, taking out the butter, boiling the milk, cleaning the home. That's all. She is not some big warrior or some rishi, muni and some big yogi, nothing like that. Simple cowherd woman. And Krishna is afraid of her. Krishna is crying in front of her. No, mother, don't beat me. So you see, Krishna has come under the control of Yasodamai. Why? Because of her love for him. So Krishna comes under the control, Krishna becomes subordinate to his pure devotees. And so therefore, Krishna is very, very cautious. He doesn't give devotional service to everybody. So therefore, if you have to obtain devotional service, you have to approach a pure devotee. You have to take a shelter of a pure devotee. Mahiyasam pada rajobhishekam. Unless you receive the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, you cannot get it. I hope that clarifies. Okay, shall we stop? I'm sorry, I think I exceeded the time. So thank you very much. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gaur ki jai. Shri Radha Damodar ki jai. Nitai Go Temanande Hari Hari Go.